On a beautiful Sunday evening, December 14th, 2025, Sydney's famous Bondi Beach was full of life. Many families and children were there for Chanukah by the sea. They were celebrating the first night of Hanukkah, a Jewish holiday. There was happy music and children were playing. A very big menorah was ready for its lights to shine. Everyone felt joyful and connected, enjoying the peaceful beach scene. Suddenly, loud gunshots cut through the air. The sound was very clear and did not stop. The happy gathering instantly changed into a scene of great fear. People could not believe what was happening. They ran, looking for a safe place as the guns kept firing. What started as a celebration quickly became a terrible attack. This sad day made Australia remember a dark time. It was the deadliest terror attack in the country's modern history. The festive lights of Hanukkah were covered by darkness. 16 people died, and many others were badly hurt. This story will explore what happened on that day. It will ask a very important question. How could this terrible event happen here in Australia? 2. A normal day. At about 6:45 in the evening on Sunday, December 14th, 2025, the fun at Bondi Beach ended. The festive mood with music and laughter quickly disappeared. 2 men came onto a footbridge, which was a crossing over the road near the beach. They carried large, long guns. From their high position on the bridge, they began shooting down at the large crowd below. This was the Hanukkah by the Sea event, and many families, including small children and older people, were there to celebrate. The gunmen fired their weapons without stopping for about 10 long minutes. The sounds of constant gunfire were deafening. Eyewitnesses later said it felt like a lifetime of terror. Panic spread quickly through the gathering. People screamed loudly and tried desperately to run away from the danger. Parents quickly pulled their children close, trying to protect them. Everyone looked for any possible safe place. Some people ran towards the open sand of the beach, hoping the wide space offered some escape or cover. Others tried to hide inside nearby shops and buildings, pushing to get inside. The air was filled with the terrible sounds of shooting, crying, and people shouting in fear. It was pure chaos. Police quickly received many emergency calls, reporting the shocking incident. Officers rushed to Bondi Beach very fast. They started to engage with the shooters to stop the attack and help the wounded. One of the gunmen, a 50-year-old man, was killed during a fight with the police right there at the scene. The other gunman, Naveed Akram, who was 24 years old, was badly hurt during the police response and was then taken into custody. But in the middle of this scary and desperate time, a very brave thing happened. A man named Ahmed Al-Ahmed, a fruit seller, was 43 years old. He was not carrying any weapon himself. He saw one of the gunmen. Ahmed made a quick and brave decision to act. He ran directly towards the shooter and tackled him to the ground. He fought hard with the gunman, trying to stop the violence. Amazingly, Ahmed managed to wrestle the gun away from the attacker. He even pointed the weapon back at the shooter, forcing the attacker to step away from the crowd. During this incredibly brave fight, Ahmed was shot 2 times in his arm, but he survived his injuries. His actions were astonishing. Many people believe that his courage saved many more lives that day, stopping further harm. He created a critical moment of disruption in the terrible massacre. What drove Ahmed Al-Ahmed to do something so dangerous and selfless?
Could he possibly survive such a risky and heroic act? The people we lost. The cheers and music from Bondi Beach turned into silence. Now people began to count the true cost of the terrible event. 16 innocent lives were taken on that day. These were not just numbers. They were real people, with families, stories, and dreams suddenly cut short. One of them was Rabbi Eli Schlenger. He was a 41-year-old assistant rabbi at Chabad of Bondi. Rabbi Schlenger was a dedicated father to 5 young children, his youngest son born just 2 months before the attack.
He had spent his life helping others and working for his community, spreading messages of faith and hope. His cousin, Rabbi Zalman Lewis, said he was full of life and very positive. The youngest person to die was a 10-year-old girl. She had been at the celebration, enjoying the activities, when the shooting started. Her vibrant young life ended too soon, a heartbreaking loss for her family. Another victim was Alex Kleitman. Mr. Kleitman was a Holocaust survivor, originally from Ukraine. He had lived through one of the worst evils in human history, escaping immense suffering. It was a profound and tragic twist that he was murdered in a new act of anti-Semitic hatred many decades later. His story showed the deep sadness and unfairness of what happened, a reminder that hate can resurface anywhere. The other people who died were also loved ones: mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, and friends. They ranged in age up to an 87-year-old. Each individual left behind grieving family members and a community in shock. The attack left a deep wound. As people remembered those who were lost, new and urgent questions arose. Everyone wanted to know, who were the men behind this awful crime? What made them choose to bring such horror to Bondi Beach? And what could possibly motivate them to commit such a monstrous act? 4. The killers. After the terrible event, police moved quickly to find out who the attackers were. They soon learned their names. The men were a 50-year-old father and his 24-year-old son, Naveed Akram. The father was killed by police at the scene during the confrontation. Naveed Akram was badly hurt. Police took him into custody. Police started to look into their past. They found an ISIS flag inside the car the attackers had used. This discovery showed a clear link to the extremist group ISIS. Investigators now believe both the father and son had promised their loyalty to ISIS before they carried out the attack. Naveed Akram had also studied at an Islamic education center in Sydney, where he learned about the Quran. Before the attack, he had lost his job as a bricklayer. These facts helped police build a picture of the two men. A very important piece of information then came to light. Naveed Akram was not completely unknown to the authorities. 6 years before the shooting, Australia's main intelligence agency, ASIO, had looked into him. They investigated him because he had strong connections to a group of men in Sydney. These men were later found guilty of crimes related to the Islamic State network. However, ASIO decided at that time that Naveed Akram did not pose an immediate threat. This meant they did not continue to watch him closely. This raised a serious and urgent question for many people. Why was he not being watched? How could a person with such clear links to a known ISIS group manage to plan and carry out a major attack without the security services knowing?
This gap in watching him was a big problem. The investigation uncovered an even more terrifying part of their plan. Inside the attacker's car, police found more than just weapons. They found improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. These are homemade bombs. At least 2 of these dangerous devices were discovered. Special bomb disposal teams had to work to make them safe. The shooting had already been horrific, causing many deaths and injuries. But the presence of these bombs showed that the attack was meant to be much, much worse. The bombs could have caused a huge number of additional deaths. 5. The big problem. The attack at Bondi Beach was not a sudden event. It was part of a bigger problem growing in Australia. For a long time, Jewish people in Australia faced more and more hatred, known as anti-Semitism. Reports from the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, ECAJ, showed this clearly. Anti-Jewish incidents rose sharply. In 1 year, there were 1,654 incidents, 5 times higher than before. Over 2 years, there were more than 3,700 anti-Jewish incidents in total. This painted a serious picture of a growing threat. Jewish community leaders had warned the government many times. They said a violent tragedy was sure to happen if this hatred was not stopped. Joel Burney, from a Jewish organization, stated leaders warned the government for months.
Rabbi Levi Wolf, a community leader, said the attack was sadly expected. Before the Bondi attack, other serious problems occurred. A synagogue in Melbourne was attacked with fire. Jewish people sometimes felt scared to show their faith. They removed religious items from homes and avoided wearing special symbols in public. In some areas, police even told Jewish communities they could not guarantee their safety. This showed growing fear. The ECAJ also noted a dangerous trend. Different groups who hate Jewish people, like neo-Nazis and some anti-Israel groups, were starting to work together. They shared a common hatred for Jewish people, making the problem bigger and more complex. So the signs of danger were clear. The warnings were strong and explicit. Everyone knew about the rising threat. The big question remains, why did authorities fail to connect the dots? Why did they not protect the community before it was too late? 6. What went wrong? The attack showed big problems in how things were managed. Australia's intelligence agency, ASIO, looked at Naveed Akram 6 years before the shooting. He was known to have links with a group tied to ISIS, but ASIO decided he was not a threat right now, so they did not watch him closely. This decision left many people asking why. There were also questions about gun laws. The older attacker, Naveed's father, had 6 guns. He owned them legally for about 10 years.
This happened even though Australia has strict rules about guns. Police found these guns at the scene. It made people wonder if the laws were strong enough to stop violent people from having weapons. The time between ASIO's check on Akram and the attack was like a dark box. 6 years passed. During this time, no one in charge seemed to know what Akram was doing. How did a person once known to security services become so radical? How did he plan a big attack without anyone noticing? These were very important questions without clear answers. Experts said it is hard for agencies to watch everyone. There are not enough people or money. But the Bondi attack showed the danger. When someone connected to bad groups is not watched, things can go wrong. This failure meant a man who was once on the radar could plan and carry out a deadly attack. The government and its security agencies now faced angry people. Many felt let down. The public wanted to know why these failures happened. Why were warnings not heard?
Why were people not safe? There was a strong need for answers and for changes to make sure such a terrible event would not happen again. 7. The world reacts. The world was in shock after the terrible attack at Bondi Beach. Leaders around the globe quickly spoke out against the violence. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called the attack heinous. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said it was deeply distressing. King Charles III and Queen Camilla were appalled by the anti-Semitic terrorist act. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, stated that anti-Semitism has no place in the world. Many other nations also showed support for Australia and its Jewish community. In Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called the attack an act of evil and an act of terrorism. Police quickly started Operation Shelter. This meant sending over 300 officers to protect churches, mosques, and synagogues across New South Wales. These steps showed how serious the government saw the situation. Amidst the sadness, a story of bravery shone brightly. Ahmed Al-Ahmed, a 43-year-old fruit seller, showed incredible courage. He was at Bondi Beach when the shooting started. He saw a gunman and, without a weapon, ran towards him. Ahmed tackled the attacker, took his gun, and forced the shooter to step back. Ahmed was shot 2 times in his arm, but he lived. People quickly called him a hero. Australian officials praised him. Even Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called him a brave Muslim who saved Jewish lives. Ahmed's actions were a strong symbol of hope. He showed that people from different backgrounds could stand together against hate. A Muslim man protecting a Jewish celebration brought a message of unity in a time of division. While the world praised Ahmed, many people in Australia looked at the government. Prime Minister Albanese made promises to help and make sure such an event would not happen again. But a special report on anti-Semitism had been given to his office months before the attack. This report had important ideas to make Australia safer for Jewish people. However, no action was taken on it. This made many people wonder, was the government's response now too little, too late to stop such hatred? 8. What now? The attack at Bondi Beach was a very sad time for Australia. It showed many problems that the country must now face. People are asking big questions about what comes next for the nation. This moment is a turning point, a time when Australia must make important decisions for the future. It is a moment that asks for more than just grief. It asks for real action. First, people are asking about intelligence. How will ASIO, Australia's main security agency, change its rules? How can they find people who plan bad acts before it is too late? The agency knew about one attacker before, so many want to know why he was not watched more closely. Will they find new ways to stop such violence, keeping the country safe while also respecting everyone's rights? Next, there are questions about gun laws. Australia has strict laws for guns, but one attacker had many legal weapons. Will the government make these laws even stronger? How can they stop dangerous people from getting guns, even if they follow the rules now? These are hard questions for leaders, and their answers will shape how guns are controlled in the future. The biggest question is about hatred. The attack was driven by anti-Semitism, a deep hatred for Jewish people. This hatred has grown a lot in Australia recently, causing fear and division. How can Australia stop this bad feeling? How can leaders, schools, and communities work together to fight hate and bring people together? The country needs to heal its social fabric. which means making sure everyone feels safe and respected, no matter their background or beliefs. This time needs more than just sadness and talking. It needs real changes to stop another attack from happening. The safety of all people, from every background, depends on the answers to these difficult questions. Australia must learn from this tragedy and build a stronger, safer future for everyone. The light that Rabbi Eli Schlanger and others wanted to share must now be protected by all of society. What do you think is the most important step Australia should take right now to prevent future attacks like this one?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.